Hi, Peter Bernstein, TMC Senior Editor, here on the floor of ITEXPO Austin 2012. We're talking UC, Unified Communications, with Bobby Mohanty, who's the Vice President of Product Marketing for Vertical Communications. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you
Hope
for
you're
having me.
enjoying the show. And let's get into this a little bit, which is, as you and I were talking before we went on camera, UC's been around for a long time. And every year the analysts have predicted next year is the year that the hockey stick takes off. I happen to believe, from listening to the sessions, talking to both vendors and users at this show, that we've reached a perfect storm where I can confidently believe that next year is going to be the one where adoption really starts to grow. And I was wondering, can you walk that through for our audience, why you believe that's true as well?
Absolutely. As you mentioned, UC has been around for quite some time. And there have been some very fundamental challenges to UC adoption, UC usage, which could be all the different elements of UC, whether it's voice, video, instant messaging, and whatnot. Several things are happening. Mobility is obviously a big factor that's kind of driving this to a very different point, because prior to having the mobile multifunction devices, whether it's the iPhone, the Androids, the tablets, UC required you to be in front of a computer. And the phone, which was the voice medium, and the computer, which was the data medium, were two separate entities. And when you have that, it's difficult because you're tied to your desk. With mobility, that difference is sort of vanishing, because everything is merging into a single model.
Plus, we've raised expectations as a result of all of us wandering around with our devices, haven't we?
We certainly have. And user interface also has come a very, very long way in terms of making it intuitive. The other aspect of UC, which has been going through a lot of transformation, is tying that unified communication, whether it's voice channels, instant messaging, video, any of the ways we communicate with each other and collaborate with each other, back into the business and the workflows and the business processes. That drives, that essentially transforms UC from being a communication tool to a more business tool, because now you have business functions that you can transact with. You have access to information that you didn't have before. So all of those factors combined are kind of making it now available. And last but not least, I'll touch on this very briefly, from an overall access perspective, the BYOD and what it does to the cost equation is now coming to a point where it's affordable in the industry. One of the things we have done very, very aggressively from the very beginning is our licensing model. We have essentially done a very flat licensing model that gives every user within a company access to the full stack of UC, so they can pick and choose what they want, as opposed to a decision maker who's writing the check choose for them. And it's all about choice at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and it's also about the enforcement of policies and rules as well. And you guys have a flexible platform that lets the IT asset manager inside an enterprise make sure that there's compliance with corporate guidelines as well. So let's since I have you here, let's talk a little bit about the title of your company is Vertical. The name of your company is Vertical. Talk about the verticals that where you're having success.
Yeah, so our platform and our solution essentially is a very appliance set, based plug and play type model with a rich set of applications and functions built into it. And then we have taken that general capability of the platform over the past several years and enhanced it to meet the specific needs of various industry verticals. Retail, for example, is an industry vertical we are very strong in and have the top 10% of the top 100 retailers using our product. And similarly, we do a lot of custom applications, custom meaning customized rather than custom, for education vertical, for healthcare, for government. So these are stacks of applications that we have built that are prepackaged into our product that our end users can essentially enable as part of the base package, or if it's an add-on with a simple license.
So let me make sure everybody understands this, which is because when we talk about UC, first of all, there's always problems about what does it mean, right? But the second piece is there are a bunch of generic applications and capabilities that everybody needs and everybody gives the same pitch for. But at the end of the day, success is about the ability and flexibility to be able to customize certain capabilities to meet vertical market requirements.
That's right.
And that is why you guys are having success. Is correct me if I'm wrong. Is the ability to quickly allow a retailer to have a custom thing that's not even just for the retail industry, but for their unique situation.
Absolutely, and some of these things you wouldn't even traditionally, if you talk to a lot of different vendors and you read magazine, you traditionally would not associate with unified communications because it doesn't naturally fall into an instant messaging or a voice.
You have an example?
I'll give you an example.
Wow, give me an example.
So in the retail space, for instance, we have associates within a retail location carrying devices, whether they're multifunction devices like a touch or Android type devices. One of the things we do is we have these things called shopper call buttons. These are self-help buttons that could be distributed maybe around a locked cabinet that has perfumes or restricted drugs or things like that. So as a customer, if you need service, you go in, you push that button. What happens is on the back end, there's an entire workflow engine that gets kicked off directly running within our platform. We know exactly what button was pressed. We use the UC infrastructure to now send a textual message to the appropriate associate covering the department saying customer XYZ needs help. Not doing an overhead page, although we can do it, but there's an overall drive to reducing noise within the store. And then that information is tracked. So if you have a SLA that customer's need has to be met within a minute and nobody has shown up, now it escalates over to the manager. And all this information is tracked, it's reported. You derive business metrics and you can now drive your organization to be more efficient when it comes to this. And this goes on to a lot of other things we do, whether it's sensors we're tying into, like in a drive-through, into different door sensors, so that we can automate the process of monitoring what's going on and relieving the manager or the supervisors from having to worry about the usual things, the common things that happen day to day, rather focus on the exceptions. We use the UC infrastructure to do that.
I want to thank you for that. Was incredibly impressive description of your application, and I think what it points out, and I want to thank you for dropping by, and I hope you have a great show, is that what we were discussing earlier, which is if UC isn't married to a business process optimization, it isn't going to get used, but when it is, it's an incredibly powerful tool.
It's a very powerful tool.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.